Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/askreddit. In today's episode, what's the scariest encounter you've had with a total stranger? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. What's the scariest encounter you've had with a total stranger? I was about 10, getting back home from the park with my sister. She, being the stubborn younger, I need no older sister playing mom to me sibling, walked purposely 20 meters ahead so nobody would even think we were together. She rounds the corner, and I hear a blood-curdling scream. I never covered 20 meters so fast in my life. I round the corner and there's a man, holding my sister by her throat, dragging her into an open car parked nearby. When he sees me advancing and yelling incomprehensibly, I honestly don't know what I yelled. I was scared out of my wits, and he realizes there's two of us. He drops her, jumps into the car and drives off. She had fingerprint-shaped bruises on her throat for days. This is why you always walk with someone. Went to a yard sale with my aunt when I was like 5. A little boy, about the same age as me, approaches me and tells me to come inside to meet his dad. I wander off with him without my aunt noticing, and he brings me into the house where the yard sale is taking place. We go down to the basement and there was his naked dad, lying on a couch excitedly greeting me as if he'd been awaiting my company or something. I actually don't remember much after that. I just got out of there as fast as possible, and it's been a strange memory of mine ever since. Well, that's scary as shit. I'm glad you were able to get away, but geez Louise, that poor boy. I will never forget it. When Ghostbusters 2 came out, I wanted to see it. My mom took me to the local theater. I think I was around 9. I needed to use the bathroom, so I ran down the small hall and turned the corner. When I saw a much older man come out of the bathroom. When he saw me, he stopped, went back in. When I didn't move, he opened the door, peeking his head and arm out, motioning me to come towards him. I probably looked like a deer in headlights. I didn't move. It was frozen until he said, come on in." Panic rushed over me and I ran back towards my mom, who said I was pale white. She quickly left the theater with me and went home. Stranger danger worked out that day in the 80s. I can still picture him, or at least the picture my brain made of this memory. A very cheerful guy approached me and my friend in a park, in a very non-threatening way. He was holding a frisbee and explained he was putting together an impromptu game of ultimate frisbee, and looking for people to join him. Which was fine, but then he tried to grab me by the throat. It was such a sudden change of mood. My friend, an athletic dude, fortunately, got between us and just stared him down, and he ran away. The whole thing was just bizarre. Really disappointed that ultimate frisbee is non-contact. Maybe he just misunderstood that it is a misnomer. I was probably 16, sitting at home alone on the computer when I looked up and saw a man on my back patio looking at the windows and heading towards the door. I have no idea what came over my stupid teen girl mind, but I opened the door and firmly told him to leave. It felt like the voice that came out of me was not mine. It was guttural and deep and grounded, which was the opposite of how I felt. He looked at me and didn't move. He wasn't shocked. It was sort of like he was trying to challenge me or scare me by holding his ground. I said leave one more time with the same voice, and he backed up. He said I was just looking for paint, and I responded I'm about to start looking for my dad's gun. My divorced dad did not live with us, nor was there a gun in the house, lol. I slammed the door, locked it, and went to call 911. They found the guy breaking into another house down the street. Thank God. I got to go pick him out of a lineup and everything. Still one of my scariest moments and possibly one of stupidest moments in my life. Older woman approached me on campus asking me to take her to this spot in town since she doesn't know where it is. I say no, it was a new city for me too, and she gave vibes. She insists it's right around the corner, so it's not that far, so suddenly she knows where it is. I refuse and she hesitates, and then walks off. An older guy asks if she needs directions only for her to walk by him. I just thought it was strange, but I didn't really think about it. The next week, I check my phone when I get to class and someone posted an article about how this older woman, who is tied to multiple cases of human trafficking, was just caught by the police in a nearby town. From the description alone, I knew it was the woman I had talked to. I'm guessing you were a young woman at the time. I was 19 and I was sleeping with the window open since it was a hot summer night. My BF and I were both knocked out, but all of a sudden I wake up, just opened my eyes, didn't get up, and I had a horrible gut feeling, and just an overwhelming feeling that I was being watched. I turn to my side and I see someone's head sticking in from the window. Needless to say, I had a heart attack, and as soon as they heard me get up, they left. Walking to my friend's house the last day of 8th grade. Old lady pulled her car next to me, almost cutting off my walking path. I backed away because WTF? She called out to me that she liked my hair. Then she said that her hair used to be my color until she got raped. You'd better believe my little chunky but ran to my friend's house and told her parents. What is it with people and hair? Like the number of people that just come up to you and start touching your hair, just no please. 14 years old, walking home, it was dark. Man gets off the bus, opens up his coat and says, "Like what you see?" He was in his 40s. Completely naked. I've never run so fast in my life. But like, surely the dumbest question ever, obviously not. When I was around 10 to 11, a friend invited me to a water park. During swimming at a wave pool, he found some random kid around our age, and decided to tell this kid that the game we were going to play was hold me down in the water. I didn't get that memo, so I thought him and this kid were just trying to drown me. This went on for what felt like an hour of me swimming away and hiding. I didn't hang out with him afterward. Same trip. After we were done with the pool, I got to the changing rooms, and there is a couple people in there. Old man on the bench asks me if I wanted him to help me change. I just said no thanks and quickly changed and ran out. Not scary per se, but deeply disturbing. Random dude at my local library accosted me while I was enjoying a new sci-fi novel, and was absolutely convinced I was his son. Kept telling me he was sorry, and he never meant to kill my mother, who he called Pink, and said some other heinous shit I won't describe. Batshit crazy, but he sounded so rational and calm the whole time. Shit gave me the creeps for a long time after. Hey, I also call people colors when I'm on a psychotic mania trip. Swore to God that might have been me if instead of a library it was a bar in Bangkok. Almost got stabbed, but I just apologized as if I did something to offend him. The guy didn't know what to do as I walked away. Back in my teenage years, a friend and I had taken a midnight walk to the gas station while stoned, and while on the way back with our chips and sweets, this dude around our age approaches us and demands our money. My friend pulls out his bag of jelly snakes and says, in the creepiest, drawn-out, vaguely threatening pedo voice, "Would you like a lolly, little boy?" The guy just backed away while muttering, "What the F***ck? This has to be the most Canadian thing I've seen today." I'm 14 and was all alone in a dirt path in India, and some guy was just sitting on a rock in the middle of the forest. I didn't make eye contact, but I could see he was crying. I wanted to help, but my gut told me not to. 3 days later was caught for murdering his wife and 5-year-old daughter. Damn bro, good one for going with your gut. Gee, this one really got me. How awful. I was 16 and sitting on a train station with my mother. Some man came over and started talking to her. After a while I looked at the clock and informed my mother that we needed to go because our train was about to arrive. He flew up from the seat and started screaming at me and wanted to fight me. My mother was confused and tried to explain to him that I was her daughter, and that we really did need to leave. He just continued screaming, which of course made teenage me scream back at him. She had to pull me away from there. I never understood what made him see red like that. All I did was inform my mother our train was coming and we needed to leave. You were obviously trying to take her away from me. Pedo down the street tried to lure my sister and I to his house while we were walking down the street. We started ignoring him. On the way back, he threatened us and we went to my landlord's house to call the police. Guy got arrested shortly after but was bailed out. His dad was a sex offender, and there had already been multiple complaints about him from other parents. Glad my sister and I were smart enough not to engage with him, and to get help right away. When I was 5, a man tried to kidnap me from my great-grandma's porch. Still remember seeing her chase him away with a giant stick, lol. Had a similar event happen when I was like 6 or 7, went to the bathroom at a flea market and some dude followed me into the bathroom and locked the door behind him. My stepfather almost broke the door down after rushing over. I remember being in the stall going and the guy trying to push open the door. It was a small stall, so I was able to wedge myself between the back of the toilet and the door so he couldn't open it. I didn't think much of it at the time, but thinking back on it now, what a trip. A homeless guy asked me for change while I was working nights. I told him sorry, I don't have any. Very calm he replies, how about we go to an ATM and take some money out before king kill you. You don't have to be able to run fast, you just have to be able to run faster than the person you're scared of. He didn't end up chasing me, I was too scared to even look back. You saying you bolted out of there? I, 21F at the time, was in a store picking up some items for my house when I noticed a man was literally peeking at me from around a corner. I first brushed it off and continued my shopping, but was aware that this man was following me around the store. He then sang out to me and said I looked familiar and asked if I went to the local university. I didn't, so I said no. At this point I got creeped out, so I checked out and went to my car. I heard footsteps behind me and knew he had followed me, so I just jumped in my car and locked the doors. It was dark, so I hadn't noticed him go around the back of my car until he banged on my passenger window. I ignored him and started the car. This prompted him to run around the front and start banging on my driver's side door, trying to open it and asking me for a ride. I was terrified and just pulled out of the parking space as fast as I could and drove off, with him chasing my car until I rounded a corner. I have no idea what his plan was, but to this day I am nervous about dark parking lots at night. I was taking a shower in the bathroom of the walkout basement. My 3-year-old son was upstairs with my mother eating breakfast. I heard him open the door and told him Mommy is in the shower, you have to wait. The door didn't close, but he didn't respond either, so I asked him to go back upstairs and ask Grandma for whatever he needed. Instead I see a shadow and outline of a hand touching the shower curtain and realize that there is an adult in the bathroom, not my son. I scream and punch through the shower curtain. I don't think I connected, but I heard the man run out anyway. As fast as I could I jumped out and grabbed a towel to check on my son and Mom. At the same time my mom was coming downstairs to see if I was okay from the scream. The man never went upstairs and they didn't even know it had happened. The walkout basement door and window were open. I called the police and they didn't find him, just my empty wallet about a block away. They did come back to me a few weeks later to let me know that they caught a guy in the area raping women at gunpoint, and they think it was the same guy. Never been so scared in my life. The most visceral part for me was knowing he was just standing quietly in the bathroom while I talked to him like he was my son. Honestly, I don't know why, but that creeps me out the most. It felt really violating at the time. Only passenger in a train car in Europe late at night. A disheveled man, wild hair and beard, tagged sweater entered the car and started pacing up and down the aisle. He is talking to himself in a language I couldn't understand. Every few trips he would stop in front of me and yell at me in whatever language he spoke. I would try to respond, but he didn't know English any more than I understood whatever language he was speaking. He would eventually give up yelling at me and would go back to pacing the aisle and talking to himself. This went on for hours. Really wish I could have recorded him back then so I could eventually find someone to translate it. I think interactions get 10x scarier when you can't understand what the other person is saying. Tripped out guy on a trips and invents a trippy language. I was like 6. Went to a restaurant with my parents and was on my way to the washroom when this middle-aged woman stopped me, kneeled in front of me, and looked me dead in the eyes. Her eyes were spirals. I swear to King God. I was a kid and didn't know funky eye contacts were a thing, so I thought she was a witch trying to hypnotize me. I started crying as one does. Closed my eyes to stop the mind control and ran away. Hit my head against a table. Cried some more. This woman really put on spiral eye contacts and said I'm gonna scare the shit out of a kid today. She went out and chose violence. I was like 6. Middle-aged woman. She was probably 17. You should read Uzumaki by Junji Ito. It's a horror manga and it revolves around spirals.